Hi everybody, thanks again for joining me on tonight's WWE Talk featuring yours truly, The Punisher, once again. So let's talk a little bit about Raw and WrestleMania since now we have gone through both events. So I've already given my WrestleMania reactions and a little later on in a segment here tonight, so we'll be getting to that later on. Let me talk a little bit about Raw here. I want to say Raw was a very good episode on Monday night. I really liked how the way they started building some other new feuds coming up soon. I liked how they also gave some talent some matches some time to really develop themselves, and also a lot of very good segments. The one thing that we did see was Brock Lesnar suffering the effects of his title loss and just beating the crap out of everybody at ringside, including Michael Cole and a camera guy, and Stephanie had to come out and scream at Brock and then telling him that you're suspended indefinitely, which is a very similar situation we saw with Brock Lesnar back in 2002 in November, I believe after the Survivor Series, where Steph had suspended him at that point. So I'm interested to see where it leads to this time. Hopefully it's a different story, but who knows. So overall I want to say Raw was a very good show Monday night. I really liked how the way they're building into new feuds and everything, and also looks like the Give Divas a Chance is finally being rolled into play here, as to tell you the truth, the Divas should be given more time to portray themselves and also give more time in matches. So here's a little thing I want to talk about as far as development and match time is concerned. The fact that one thing I am bothered with Raw is the fact that a lot of the main talent are only getting about 5 minutes or less matches on Raw. Meanwhile, people in NXT are getting 15 to 20 minute matches so they can have enough time to really develop their character and their wrestling skills. But the problem I see with this whole thing is not only is it just the writers' fault, but it's also the fact that they're not giving people enough time to develop themselves and also not giving people enough match time to help build a good feud and a good match to really draw the crowd's attention. So if they can do a lot with NXT, they should really be doing it with the main roster. And not only should they be giving Divas a chance, but they should be giving the main roster a chance, because often people who are coming from NXT to the main roster, they're becoming the superior dominant in NXT, but as soon as they come onto the main roster, things are becoming a different story. And to tell you the truth, that's how it kills some of the main roster we have to this day, because they're not giving people enough time to really have character development and give them enough time to prove themselves to the crowd that they are worthy of being over. So something to really keep in mind and to really take my opinions into account and all that stuff, because later on this may mean something to a lot of people who are watching tonight's show. So really think about what I gotta say, because it really does make a lot of sense. The other thing that I'm not very through with is a lot of these internet fans lately, where one minute they're mad that someone's being over pushed, and then the next minute they're complaining that they're not being pushed enough. It's almost like at the time of Survivor Series when Dolph Ziggler defeated the Authority, and then at that point fans were great that they were doing something with Dolph Ziggler, but then shortly after that, when he was getting a push, a lot of people started hating the guy. It's almost the exact same thing they're doing with Roman Reigns. As far as Roman Reigns is concerned, here's something I really want to talk strongly about the subject, because I think this is becoming a little bit overboard and old now. Guys, it is not Roman Reigns' fault that Bryan was out of the main event title picture at WrestleMania. He was already the guy to fight Brock at WrestleMania for the title. It had nothing to do with Bryan at all. Yes, Bryan came back in time for the Royal Rumble, but guess what? Reigns was already in line to win the Royal Rumble and to face Brock at Mania. Meanwhile, all of you guys are acting like he set Bryan back. He did not. The only thing he did was doing what he was told to do by the officials, which is put on a good feud, put on a good build-up for WrestleMania, and try to be a dominant superstar and build yourself in the main event picture. That's all he did. All of you internet fans are acting like it's his fault for this, his fault for that. Yes, he may have been forced down everything, but he is a great wrestler, though. Don't get me wrong. He does very well in his matches, although not the perfect guy in the world, but guess what? Nobody is perfect. He does need to work on his promos and everything, because oftentimes he's not very strong when he delivers a promo. But you guys can't keep hitting on the guy because Bryan didn't get the spot that he could have gotten in the main event picture. I mean, you need to separate yourself from Daniel Bryan so much because you gotta give Roman Reigns a chance and give other people a chance too. It's fine that you love Daniel Bryan, that you want him in the title picture. Yes, I want him in the title picture too, but he will get to that point. He just won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, so why don't you give him a chance to prove himself there and then let Roman Reigns try to build himself in the main event picture. Maybe you guys will start appreciating the guy at that point. So just keep that in mind to stop hating on people who are trying to push themselves and growth and within the main event picture and everything. People need time to grow. People need time to develop. So give Roman that chance and maybe you'll appreciate him at some point. So overall, that's all I really need to say about for tonight's WWE Talk. So now on to some of my buddies who actually chimed in with their wrestling opinions and reactions to WrestleMania. So let's see what they have to say.
My reaction to WrestleMania, it's one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen. It was top to bottom, hands down. Every match had a story. Every match had a conclusion. Storylines were built, storylines were ended. It was fantastic. I would say it's up there with WrestleMania 17. The build to WrestleMania was not great, but they concluded all of the storylines beautifully last night. Starting with the Intercontinental title ladder match, which was brutal. DB getting the W, fantastic. Orton Rollins was awesome. It's the best Orton has looked in years. Obviously, Taker winning, that was magical. The main event was brutal. It was hellacious. The Divas match was excellent, including the finish, which I know some people don't agree with, but it made sense. My only complaint was the finish to Sting Triple H. I feel like if this doesn't lead to something, it was a complete waste, and they threw the gauntlet, they threw the kitchen sink at us for no reason. I hope it leads to something. Another cool moment was The Rock and Ronda Rousey. That was fantastic. And if that sets up a tag team match at next year's WrestleMania, I'm already in. So, my opinion is if you want to see an amazing WrestleMania, definitely pop 31 up on the network.
Rollins Orton was a great match. Now knowing the finish to the entire show, I see why Rollins lost. I originally was hoping for Rollins to win. The finish was fantastic with the RKO at the end, so I was happy with that. Next. I thought it was good. I didn't really understand why AJ was knocked outside the whole time, but I'm thinking it's going to play into some arguments and tension between her and Paige. I just don't know where they go with the Bellas from this because it didn't really progress anything, but we'll see. Next. Cena Rusev was cool. The Rusev entrance was awesome and reminded me of Rocky. I was hoping Cena would come out with something Rocky-esque. Apollo Creed didn't really do it. Match was good. I can understand the finish with Cena winning, so I was happy with it. Why are you smiling? It's not funny. I just want to say I wish Sting had better friends show up from WCW because Hall, Nash, and Hogan absolutely didn't do shit to help him out. They just kind of came down and then fell down and Nash ripped his quad again and all that stuff, and they were overpowered by DX, and Shawn Michaels attacked and everything, so I'm hoping that leads to something else. I hope it's not the end of Sting. I hope we see more Sting and better for ratings. It was fantastic. A really hot opener. The only thing I really complained about is they just kept doing this zoom effect where they would zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out. They're doing quick cuts. I don't know why. It felt like it was for somebody's entrance video and not actual live TV. So other than that, I liked a lot of the spots they did. I was happy Bryan won. I understand why Bryan won, but I was hoping he'd go for the world title, but totally dumb. Why would you have Mizdow get all the way to the end and then get thrown out and give the big show? It's not really going to elevate the big show, so I thought it could have been better spent on Mizdow. Tag title kickoff show. It was really cool. I can see why they took the Usos out, but if they were just going to eliminate them that way, they should have just put the Ascension in or some other tag team. But it was a good match. I really like Kid and Cesaro, so I'm glad they got the win. Taker Wyatt pretty much went like I thought it would. The entrance was cool, but again, it wasn't dark enough. None of the entrances were dark enough. I was hoping for a really dark and creepy Sting entrance, and I don't know what that was, and the Triple H entrance was cool, but the Wyatt one would have been even cooler if it was actually dark out with the scarecrows and stuff like that. But I was happy Taker won.
things.
That was a great match. Lesnar looked like a beast. It looked like they were stiffing each other a lot, so I like that. Roman was kind of laughing off a lot of the stuff, so he still stayed as a babyface. And then Rollins cashing in became the heel in the match, where Roman could be the face and Brock could be the face, and really surprised everybody. So, interested to see what they do tonight on Raw.
That was a hell of a match, especially at the ending of what Orton did to Rollins. It was very good. The Divas Tag match, which I really didn't pay much attention. I just looked at Paige and AJ, and that was about it. Careless about Nikki Bella, but it turned out the way I wanted. So Paige and AJ winning. Russo had the best entrance I've seen in a while. It reminded me of Rocky IV, with him coming out in the tank and all that. I just didn't like the outcome, but if it means John Cena now winning the belt and staying in the mid-card for the rest of his life, then fuck it, so be it. That stole the show. And like everybody thought it would, Bryan winning it was the best. Him and Ziggler had some pretty good blows, especially the headbutts. So I'm looking forward to seeing more matches between him and Ziggler. The tag title was good, but I still say, because one of the Usos was injured, they should have put the Ascension, at least. It could have been a hell of a match. But I mean, the other kid did his best to, keep on going even without his other brother. But I like the results. Kid and Cesaro kept the belts. And the Battle Royal, I had the feeling that Big Show was going to win. It's basically named after him almost, with the whole Andre the Giant and shit. But I knew he was going to win. I mean, it would have been nice to see Sandow win, but it is what it is. Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. He wasn't gonna win. He wasn't gonna lose 2 in a row, so I knew Undertaker was gonna win. I thought it would have been nice to see Bray Wyatt win and keep his whole gimmick thing going, but now where is he gonna go from this? Stay in Triple H was a good match. I like seeing NWO and DX come out to help each other's teammates. Didn't like the results. I think it should have been Sting winning it. But, when you're married to the boss's daughter, you get whatever you want. That is the way I expected it to be, one-sided. Brock just destroying him. Roman Reigns, I gotta give him credit. He put on a hell of a fight. And I was kind of expecting it. I thought it was going to be at the end of the match where he was going to cash in, and no, he did it right at the part where they were both down, and they made it a triple threat match, and he got the win. It was actually good.
Alright, now for my reactions and opinions. I want to say overall was a good show, but there were some things about the match winners I was a bit disappointed with. For one, I was expecting Rollins to go over Orton, but it made sense why he lost, because at the end of the night he cashed in on Brock and everything, which I'll get to that in a second. So overall, that was a very good match with the way that ended. The Divas Tag match, I gotta say I was quite disappointed about this, because since Brie and Nikki aren't gonna be around WWE for much longer, I'm not sure if this will be the last WrestleMania or if next year's will be, but if this was going to be their last WrestleMania, it really would have been nice for them to get a win before they walk out of WWE, which I don't really feel AJ needed the win since she won last year, but oh well. The Cena versus Rusev, it went down exactly the way I expected it to go down, with lots of back and forth between Cena and Rusev, and I figured Cena was going to get the W in the match since that's how they book him at WrestleMania, so I'm not really surprised there. The tag match in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, tag match was very good. I liked a lot of the back and forth they did with knocking people out and all that stuff, and it ended very well with Cesaro throwing the guy out of the ring so he can get the advantage with the pinfall, so that ended very well. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal, I would have been more pleased with the match if Mizdow won it. I don't see any reason why Big Show needed the win since Mizdow starting to get over with the fans, especially his mimicking gimmick of Miz of what he was doing with him. So I thought he deserved to get the win more than the Big Show, but you know how WWE is, they had to give it to somebody big, so Big Show was the guy they chose to give it to. So Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. That was a very good match, and The Undertaker looked a lot better than he did last year, and I am very pleased with the way the match went down, and both Bray and Undertaker put on a very good fight, so I was very pleased with it, and no problems or complaints about it, so went exactly the way I expected it to. Sting versus Hunter, I was disappointed in this, just because the amount of build-up they did ever since the Survivor Series, when he lost to Triple H last night, I really hope, like my friend Chris said, that they do something that leads to this later on though, but if they don't, this whole feud would have been pointless and a complete waste of time, because Sting could have used the win over Triple H, and the fact that they didn't do a whole lot with the other people that ran, like the NWO and the DX, it didn't feel like it made a lot of people look very strong, especially with the way Hunter hit Sting with the sledgehammer, and then to end the match, it just looked very weak in my opinion, and it could have looked a lot better than it did at the end of the match, but it really looked like the Authority had a takeover with WrestleMania this year, unlike last year where Bryan the Shield took over. This year it was the Authority, Big Show winning, Rollins winning the title, and Triple H beating Sting. So, but again, I hope at least it's something big, because if it just ends the way it did and just leaves it like that, it just defeats the whole purpose of a very good feud that would have built up very well. And for the last match, but not least, the Lesnar versus Reigns match. Very, very good match with a lot of back and forth, a lot of drama in the match, a lot of F5s, a lot of spears, Superman punches. It was awesome. I loved it. Especially when Seth Rollins winning the match and catching the Money in the Bank, which adds so much drama to the match, and especially when he got the pin on Reigns to not get the pin on Lesnar to keep Lesnar strong. I liked how the way they did that build up. So now I'm curious to know where this goes from here. Either they're up there, three of them are still going to fight over one belt, or they're just going to have Rollins versus Reigns for a while. So interested to see where this feud's going to go, so I'm looking forward to Raw tonight. So,
well, I'm going to give you my reaction to what you did to me last time. Last time I came out here and I spoke for god dang near 20 minutes, and you cut me down to a minute and a half. So apparently you don't really want to know what I have to say. So I'm going to give you 3 thoughts. Paige is hot. Seth Rollins is the new Edge, which is stupid. And Roman Reigns is the greatest thing going. Believe that.